Doctor accused of $681 million rehab fraud. What would you do when you found out that the doctor who has been treating you for drug abuse was not only a fraudster, but also a scammer who has been looting you all these years? This is Robber's Insight, and today we will explore a crazy story about a Floridian doctor who scammed not only his patients but multiple insurance companies of millions of dollars. Imagine you have fallen into a drug addiction and are taking up regular sessions with your rehab doctor for the treatment. You have your faith in your doctor who seems qualified enough to treat your addiction without judging you. And on one breezy day when you are casually chilling on your couch, you find out your doctor was all along a scammer and a fraudster. That's right, this happened in the Sunshine State of America, where an unusual case of fraud unfolded. A 46-year-old man, Michael J. Ligotti in Palm Beach County, Florida, was charged with conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and wire fraud. And when we say fraud, we do not mean a few $1,000s. We're talking about a $681 million scheme. Yep, you heard that right. That's more than enough cash to buy a private island with a swim-up bar. When you hear a number that big, the only question that pops up in your mind is, how did someone who was supposed to help people out manage to pull a scam like that? How did Ligotti make it possible to scam so many insurance companies along with Medicare without them ever realizing it? Well, according to the allegations, Ligotti was not alone in this scheme. A fraud as extensive as this cannot possibly be pulled off by one man. The allegations say that Ligotti, in collaboration with several others, had planned this prolonged scheme designed to defraud the healthcare system, although he was the center of it. This scam was implemented in his private clinic, Whole Health, which was built to provide addiction treatment, family care, and urgent care services. There, he planned one of the biggest healthcare fraud schemes and spent years targeting those who were desperately seeking help with substance abuse. Operating under the guise of compassion, he perfectly laid out a plan that went on for years without being detected. According to the reports, Dr. Ligotti allegedly became a pretend medical director for over 50 addiction homes in exchange for a small minimal fee. This gave him a position of authority, but as the accusations suggest, he wasn't truly involved in the day-to-day care of the patients. Here's where things get suspicious. Dr. Ligotti allegedly authorized something called standing orders for a massive amount of urine tests, hundreds of millions of dollars worth to be exact. The problem? Many of these tests likely weren't even needed for the patient's treatment in the first place. Dr. Ligotti was overcharging for everything. We're talking unnecessary urine tests, crazy high bills for a single visit, basically anything to get more money out of the system. The complaint also alleges that the labs doing these unnecessary tests sometimes paid kickbacks to the rehab centers. The more tests they did, the more money he got in his pocket. What's even worse is that in exchange for signing off on all these unnecessary tests, Dr. Ligotti allegedly required the rehab centers to use his own clinic, Whole Health, for treatment. This meant even more billing for things like extra, unnecessary, and unimportant urine tests, blood tests, therapy sessions, office visits, and other services, regardless of whether the patients actually needed them or not. At this point, if you think the wrongdoings of Dr. Ligotti could not have gone worse, wait till you hear this. The complaint alleges Dr. Ligotti didn't even properly review the results of all these tests he ordered. This means the tests weren't actually helping patients get better. They were just a way to drive up the bill. So, to sum up everything in easy words for you, the scam worked something like this. Dr. Ligotti became a fake medical director for rehab centers. He then authorizes a flood of unnecessary urine tests. Labs pay kickbacks to the rehab centers for all those tests. Patients are forced to use Dr. Ligotti's clinic for unnecessary treatment. Dr. Ligotti bills for everything, regardless of need. Patients and insurance companies get stuck with the bill, while Dr. Ligotti and his collaborators fill their pockets with big bucks. Now, you might ask yourself, how much time did it take the scammers to get $681 million from the government? Well, this alleged scheme went on for nearly a decade, from approximately May 2011 to March 2020. During this time, the scammers are said to have generated and submitted thousands, maybe even lakhs of false bills for various medical tests and services. These scamming activities specifically targeted both private insurance companies and the federal Medicare program, looting hundreds of millions out of their pockets like it was nothing. The seriousness of Ligotti's actions goes far beyond the boundaries of medicine. It becomes a moral issue with the scamming of patients who need assistance. By directing patients to his own clinic, Ligotti made sure a steady stream of revenue filled his pocket. Throughout the duration of the 10-year scheme, Dr. Ligotti occupied a prominent leadership position as the medical director for over 50 addiction treatment centers, where he was responsible for overseeing clinical operations and had the authority to approve medical procedures. Imagine the amount of money you could make from running a scam on one treatment center, let alone 50. He misused his power as a medical professional and signed off on tests that had no legitimate medical purpose. The patients who came seeking help at these addiction treatment facilities were completely unaware of what was happening behind the curtains. They underwent numerous medical tests and treatments that they did not need, believing them to be essential for their recovery. Not only this, but the complaint alleges that the doctor also victimized the innocent patients by charging for services that were never even listed, such as psychiatric services and therapy sessions. The patients were charged outrageous and excessive amounts of fees for a single-day visit. Even some of the patients were billed ranging from $10,000 to $20,000 a day. Imagine being charged this much of an amount while you were only seeking treatment. Instead of receiving the compassionate care and effective treatment the patients needed, they were further harmed and exploited by someone they trusted to help them. The reports claim that the manipulation of these patients under Dr. Ligotti's care not only intensified their existing issues, but also caused additional emotional and psychological trauma. These patients, who were already in a fragile state due to their addiction, were subjected to unnecessary medical procedures and tests, all in the name of financial gain. The trust they placed in the medical system was violated, leaving them feeling betrayed, and further made them distrust the support systems that were once designed to help them. Imagine going to rehab to get better, only to have a doctor prioritize making money over your well-being. That's the dark side of this alleged scam. By ordering unnecessary tests and potentially unnecessary treatments at his own clinic, Dr. Ligotti could have delayed or even hindered patients' recoveries from addiction, according to the accusations. Think about it. If you're not getting the right tests or treatments you actually need, how can you truly heal? This could have also caused a financial burden on patients and their families. On top of the emotional toll of addiction, they had faced extra bills for tests and treatments they never needed. This could have even delayed them from seeking proper care because of financial worries. But the harm doesn't stop there. This situation allegedly squeezed the whole healthcare system. Unnecessary tests and treatments inflate the overall cost of healthcare, which can lead to higher insurance premiums for everyone. Think of that. Everyone's insurance gets more expensive because some might be exploiting the system. On top of that, resources like lab equipment and technicians' time that could have been used for genuine medical needs were allegedly directed toward unnecessary testing in this case. Basically, resources were taken away from where they were truly needed. So what happened to the doctor once the accusations were raised against him? Well, in August of 2020, he was arrested on charges of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and wire fraud. The accusations against him are serious, and he might get severe punishments for his scams. However, here's where things get interesting. As of now, the whole thing about Dr. Ligotti is just accusations. There's no solid proof yet as to whether whatever he did was wrong, and he still has a chance to fight for his freedom. So, who knows? Maybe the whole thing turns out to be a big facade, and you get to see Ligotti walk freely on the streets of Florida someday. But the crime doesn't end here. Even if Ligotti is innocent, it doesn't mean healthcare frauds don't happen frequently. Certain measures must be put in place to ensure that such abuses do not occur in the future. These measures must be comprehensive and address various aspects of healthcare operations. The government should implement rigorous checks and balances that scrutinize medical billing, patient care protocols, and overall healthcare administration. Regular audits, enhanced monitoring systems, and strict compliance checks should also be in place to make sure everything is authentic. Plus, Healthcare providers should also operate with a high degree of openness to make sure that their practices are visible and understandable to both regulatory bodies and the public. This transparency will help in identifying and addressing unethical behaviors immediately. Clear and accessible reporting channels should be established so that patients and healthcare workers can report suspicious activities without fear of retaliation. Honestly, ask yourself, how many wrongdoings didn't you report only because you didn't have the right platform for it? The people need an outlet to voice their opinions without the fear of being in danger. No matter what the truth in this case is, it is important to remember that healthcare frauds are not that uncommon. This event exposed the dark side of addiction treatment. People struggling with addiction need real help, not to be taken advantage of. This story is a wake-up call, especially for those seeking addiction treatment. It's a big reminder to never put your trust in a healthcare professional unless you know better. If something about a treatment plan or a doctor's recommendation just doesn't sit right, speak up. Don't be shy. Ask questions. The more you know, the better you can navigate your healthcare journey. Especially if you're considering rehab, don't just jump at the first place you see. Do your homework. Look for centers with a solid reputation and a proven track record of helping people recover. Online reviews can be a good starting point, but don't forget to check with your insurance company for recommendations. If something feels off about a doctor or a treatment center, listen to your inner voice. Don't be afraid to walk away and find care elsewhere. You deserve to feel comfortable and confident with the person treating you. If a doctor suggests a treatment plan, get a second opinion on it. That's the only way you can take charge of your health and protect yourself from healthcare scammers. Remember, you have the right to ask questions, get informed, and make decisions about your own well-being. Don't hesitate to advocate for yourself and seek the care you deserve so you can avoid people like Dr. Ligotti. Have you ever been in a healthcare fraud? How did you find out you were being scammed? Share your thoughts and experiences with us in the comments, and if you liked today's story, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious.